Hey guys, I'm Go Via Go Home. I'd like to welcome you back to my layout. So today, basically, we're going to continue on with the update to the layout, and we're going to talk about all the progress that I've made, and show you just a few things that I've been working on. So here we go. So I'm trying to get down as much cork as possible here for the areas that are already done, like all these pink sections of foam, that's all glued down. I am going to continue the cork on to this way here shortly, I guess. But as we go along down this way, basically I wanted to create a slope here, and I've got my little palm sander thing that, I don't know, just eats away at the foam, right? Like it knocks it down a bit there and then it files it down. And you can see that I did that, but there's like a huge drop like down at this end here. So I glued down some foam and I used my pins to hold it in place, right? That's all dry. So I'm going to come back with the sander, with this thing, and I'm just going to file that down, and I'm going to make it a bit more gradual instead of it being a straight drop. And I did it all the way along here, and as you can see, well, you can kind of see it there, right? That's what it looked like. But there was a huge drop. This is because, obviously the track is going more parallel now. And that eventually goes into there, right? So you can kind of see that. And basically I'm going to have another switch here, and it's going to go up into there, but I have to create something to go down so that it's, a little bit lower than these main lines here. Alright, so looking at somewhat of my yard here, this is going to be the top end of the ladder, and basically I didn't want to use a whole piece of plywood, so I did run these strips. I think they're about 5 inches long, and they just go right back, and because this part is lower, it goes down low, you'll see it's even lower than the main coming in. And then when I stick the foam on top, which it should line up right like that, sorta. That's just rough. But yeah, basically that's what it'll look like, and then I can add, hill and tree right in here, and then I can add tracks. Doing a lot of gluing today. Glued down this piece of foam here. I'm still working on the foam coming this way into the yard. You can see I'm laying out my switches there, trying to figure out where they go in corresponding with the lines that I drew underneath. So it's just going to be like a better copy on top. And then as we look down here, I've got all this foam here down. That was just glued. You see I have all my lines on there, which is great. So up to here is done, and then I just have to run the cork because I got to about here with the cork. So I'm going to run this entire module here and get all that cork down as well. Okay, so as you guys saw in one of my last videos, I got a bunch of switches in and I got some track, and because I had most of this already prepped, I went ahead and I soldered some track. I drilled my hole for my switch machine. You can see this is a number 8 Pico here, and basically, remember me putting the tape under here? I'm going to show you this side here because this side isn't completely done yet. So I had put strips of tape, and you can kind of see it there. It's brown because I painted over it. I didn't want the green showing through, and I only got to there so far. So what I did was I ran a thin piece of green tape around the outside of the curve. Okay, and it only goes to about here, but it elevates the actual track. But you have to go over it. I think I went over this about 5 times, getting smaller and smaller each time. So if your tape starts here, have your next one start, about here. And then your next one about here. And then here, moving in about 2-3 inches each time. I even did a small one for here because I'm going to have a switch. And then it kind of comes in and goes around. It's very... This curve isn't as big as some of my other ones. And you don't have to do this on every curve. It's literally just for mainline. So what I did here was, obviously I did that. And then I painted over it. You don't see it. So when you take your track, because I obviously have track here, I already placed it where it needs to go, and then I put some of my really cheap glue, white glue, same stuff that you're going to use for your ballast and whatnot. I totally left this open last night. My bad. Yeah, white glue, and then I just went along and went like that, and then I went along the outside to make sure it holds there, and on the inside to make sure it holds there. Then, thanks to my sponsor Campbell's Soup, no, I'm just kidding, I put all these all along here. We got some vegetable, we got some chicken noodle. It's crazy. They're like little weights. So, it's not that time of year to be eating soup anyways, and no one here is sick, so it's a whatever thing. So, basically, you put them on here. I've got all this track, and you can see it goes all the way down to there where those white blocks are. And it's all soldered together. So you have to solder. And then basically it's glued down. So I let it dry overnight. Now I want to show you this here because this is pretty cool. So I've got one of my lumber load cars here. Ontario Northland. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to push it back. Now when we're looking right at it, I don't know if you can tell, but it's on a little bit of an angle. It's a super elevated angle. But the car, it has a little bit of a swivel to it, so that's cool too. But yeah, basically when you're going around the corner, you're on that curve, and this one obviously was much bigger. So I did a couple more than just 5 layers of tape. And then it flattens out. Like once it goes over that, it flattens out. And then you're going straight again, because it's obviously it's straight all the way down there. So this is the technique here that I borrowed from Derek Glass. I seen him do it, it must have been at least 1.5 to 2 years ago when he was doing one of his curves on his layout. And because I'm doing it this way now, I'm like, why not? I'll give it a shot. It worked for him. I'll see if I can make it work for me. And I'm way over the moon, impressed with how well and how easy it was to actually do this, super elevated curve. It's like, why didn't I do this before? So I just wanted to throw that tip out to you and pass on the good word. And thanks, Derek, for the great advice on that. So it works. It really works. And I'm going to let this dry some more because it's got to dry some more. And obviously, sometimes your work is not perfect. These two didn't really line up. Like as you can see here, this kind of lines up. Well, it's a little bit off. But then when you put the cork down, the track was kind of floating over this part here, over to here where this track starts. So then I took some very thin styrene, and I did the same thing that I did with the super elevated curve, and I made a long one for the full length, and then I made a shorter one, and then a shorter one, and then a short one on top. And it's almost like stairs, but really what it does is it just goes up to here, and when you come around the curve, the track goes down, and then it meets up with this, no problem, and it's not a floating piece of track here. And really happy with how that worked out. And I did the same thing for this side. I hope you can see that clearly. And I just used my No More Nails to stick it down. I'll probably do brown over it, but to be honest, it's all going to be covered with ballast anyway, so I don't really care. I just wanted to make sure that was level, and it went in with that, and it works. I still have to continue on this way here. doing the filler. I can't remember if I showed you that I did this, but I used my filler stuff and I covered this all over here so there's no holes there. So when I go to put my ballast in, it'll go like right into the little crack here and it'll fill right down. But then I'll be able to put like a grassy knoll kind of thing going up here, like just a little thing, you know, tall grass. It's not maintained or anything like that. And then it evens out down there, levels out. So I'm pretty happy with how this turned out so far. Eventually, once I get my track down, my switches down, my wires and whatnot, then I can add my fascia and then kind of do my hill to the fascia. Because obviously it's a little bit of a gap. And then filling in areas like this here from, you know, here to here, where it's not going to be flat. It might go down, it might come up. For this section here, I think it might go up a little bit, but we'll get to that much later. I still have some more cork to lay. Main comes out this way, so there's that. I can't remember if I mentioned that I leveled out my whole backdrop for this side here. Did all the way down, right across. So that's all down and that's good. I still have to get my backdrop for that side. No rush. But yeah, I've got this track here is gonna go here with the switch, number 7, curve turn. And then I will literally have like from one end all the way to the other end main done for like these modules here. Except, you know, obviously I have to get some switches for in here and a crossover, lay some cork, and then continue on that way. But still, that's basically one end to the other, and then I can run some trains back and forth at least, you know, a good 12, 14 feet, possibly. I have to drop some wires too here. So this is a great example of it. I'm just doing a little piece here just to show you. Did the glue, like I poured the glue in there. I want to make sure, because this is where the module ends, so I don't put any glue, you know, 1/2 inch or whatever both ways. And I go right down the middle, adding the glue, okay? And then, you know, it obviously fills out a little bit there in the middle. And then I go along the edges, like I was saying, both inside and outside. Then I put my weights down. Now, it obviously looks like that's a lot of glue in there, right? You'd think so. But I did the same thing over here. You can see that it's almost like it's watered down enough that it absorbs and it actually goes away. And plus, because it's white glue, it dries clear, so you can't even really see it. So I can still put my ballast in here and not have to worry that it's not going to be held down or anything like that. Here's another area here. Still waiting for it to dry a little bit more. But the glue that I'm putting in there, the amount of glue, will hold it down well enough. And it's super cheap. You can get it from the dollar store. Like I get a 3-pack of those little ones there, that little thing with the orange tab. I get 3 of those for like $1, $1.50 from the Buck or Two store. And, you know, I go through a couple of them, you know, for doing like a long span, but basically it's a heck of a lot cheaper than most other glues out there on the market. And I'm not in a rush because I have long periods of time between when I work on this to when I need to do some more work. So like I'm gonna be out for the day, so I put glue down, it's holding it. By the time I get back, it's still gonna be wet, but this entire end here is gonna be dry, and that's from yesterday. So, you know, do it before you go to bed or something, and then, you know, you can do whatever else in the meantime. So I just wanted to show you what I'm doing here. I'm trying this as almost like a test piece, just to see how it will look. I'm gonna do the hardboard on the fascia, but I wanted to almost create like a shell first, because the hardboard is very thin. So I've got the 1/2 inch foam here, same as I use on there. I've cut a piece that basically it's 4 feet long, goes to there. I'm going to do another 4 feet that's going to go to the end of the module, but I'm going to do this per module. And the reason why I'm starting here is because basically as far as, you know, track and cork, all down here, that's all done. I've added my extra little pieces to fill in. You can see there was no track there, but I've added the tracks. So right along the edge here is good. So I'm going to start with this module, and I'll move down to that one once that one is more, you know, dry and whatnot. So I've got the board here. It's right on the edge, so it lines up nicely. I've glued it down using hot glue, and I kind of made a little bit of a woo to it, you know. And if you look like this, you can just see the tracks, you know, see the top of the tracks. It's supposed to come uphill, like when you look at it like this, it goes uphill and there's trees along here, and then there's like a baseball diamond like right here. But I'm obviously not putting in the baseball diamond, so I'm starting with this here. I've got the cardboard, which I've cut into strips, and you can see I attached them all on here like this in a row, and every other one I started gluing them down. I'm just using a hot glue gun, and I'm just going to weave through it afterwards, but I wanted to hold that foam in place there, and it, you know, it should be good. It's pretty solid, and then once these dry, because they're tight on there, it should hold it in place, really. And then I can do the plaster cloth over top of it. But I just wanted to kind of show you. That's what I'm just kind of testing, working on right now. Let me know what you think. Plaster cloth, and then that'll all get scenic as well, right? And if you notice, it's wider here, and then it goes thinner here, and then it'll be the opposite there. It goes wider again the farther down you get to the drill there, because you never want to have your track parallel with the side of your table. Depending on the circumstances, of course, but I'm trying not to, so just to add a bit more realism to it. Let me know what you think.